We begin with breaking news this evening, and Kamala Harris has reportedly chosen her vice presidential running mate for the upcoming US election. Sources claim the vice president has selected Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her VP candidate.
Latterly, Tim Walz was a strong candidate. Initially, he was nowhere, and there were other higher-profile individuals who were thought to be front and centre of Kamala Harris's thinking. But Tim Walz, age 60, governor of Minnesota, former National Guardsman, former representative in the House on Capitol Hill, he impressed those within the Democratic Party, and clearly Kamala Harris, with his approach to debating, to discussing, to framing the presidential contest. He is the individual who coined the term weird that is gaining so much traction in terms of the Democratic attacks on Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. In interview, he was a good performer. He has that folksy charm. He's relatable, has that carefree air of somebody who is in their advanced years. He's an individual, I suppose, who may not be in contention for the top job ultimately. Perhaps that was factored into Kamala Harris's thinking. But in terms of that selection process, there were others front and centre. Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, Senator Mark Kelly in Arizona. They were touted initially as front-runners, but Tim Walz came up on the inside. There was a weekend process of so-called chemistry tests. Tim Walz and others sat down with Kamala Harris so that she could gauge who she could best do business with in office over 4 to 8 years. And I'm led to believe that Kamala Harris was hugely impressed by Tim Walz, as was her vetting team, a team essentially of lawyers and party acolytes who looked into the background of those who were in the running, checking for any skeletons in the closet and so on. And we're led to believe that Tim Walz absolutely smashed it in terms of just how he engaged with those who were carrying out the checks for Kamala Harris, and smashed it with Kamala Harris herself. So it's been a late decision. I mean, it's been reported by AP and Reuters that it's Tim Walz, but Kamala Harris is said to have slept on it overnight. We will now see the big running mate reveal, a whole raft of digital videos and so on lined up for the social media launch. And today, here in Philadelphia, we will see the two Democratic candidates, the would-be president and would-be vice president, the vice president picking her vice president. We'll see them on stage together in Philadelphia for the big introduction.